There are rules in life that most people learn too late. Not the rules society teaches you, not the rules written in books or preached from stages. These are the laws carved into the fabric of human nature itself. Break them, and you don't just lose, you lose yourself. Today, we're going to walk through 10 rules that separate those who command their reality from those who merely exist within it. Listen carefully, because once you see these truths, you cannot unsee them. Rule number 1. Never chase anyone who shows they can live without you. Let's start with something uncomfortable. You've felt it before. That gnawing need to pursue someone who's already walked away. Maybe it was a lover, a friend, a business partner. They showed you, through their absence, through their indifference, that their world spins just fine without you in it. And what did you do? You chased harder. This is where most people destroy themselves. Here's the truth. Attention is the currency of respect. When someone can live without you and demonstrates this fact through their behavior, they're making a statement about your value in their world. They're not confused. They're not busy. They're not going through something. They've simply calculated that their life doesn't require your presence. The psychologist Carl Jung once explored the concept of the shadow, the parts of ourselves we refuse to acknowledge. When you chase someone who's shown they don't need you, you're confronting your own shadow. You're facing the part of you that believes you're not enough. So you chase, hoping that if you can win them back, you can prove that dark voice wrong. But here's what actually happens. Every text, every call, every desperate attempt to rekindle something that's already dead. It doesn't increase your value. It broadcasts your scarcity. It announces to them and to yourself that you believe you have no better options. The ancient Stoics understood something profound. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. When you chase, you're not chasing the person. You're chasing the fantasy of what they represented. You're clinging to the story you told yourself about who you'd become with them in your life. Stop writing yourself into narratives where you're not wanted. Someone who genuinely values you will never make you question your place in their world. They'll show you, they'll demonstrate it, not through words. Anyone can speak beautifully, but through consistent action. The moment you recognize indifference, you have one move: disappear, not out of anger, not out of spite, but out of self-respect. Your presence is not a participation trophy. It's a privilege that must be earned through reciprocal investment. When you stop chasing, something shifts in the universe. Suddenly, you become scarce, and scarcity creates value. The people who matter will notice. The people who don't will fade into the irrelevance they've chosen. Either way, you win. Rule number 2. Never lower your standards. Just to feel accepted, acceptance is a drug. And like all drugs, the high is temporary, but the cost compounds. You've done this before. Maybe you didn't even realize it. You laughed at jokes that disgusted you. You stayed silent when you should have spoken. You tolerated disrespect because you feared isolation. You convinced yourself that fitting in was worth the price of authenticity. Here's what nobody tells you. Every time you lower your standards to be accepted, you're not joining a group. You're abandoning yourself. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche wrote about the herd mentality, the human tendency to surrender individuality for the comfort of belonging. It's evolutionary. For thousands of years, banishment from the tribe meant death. So we learned to conform, we learned to shrink, we learned to betray our own values if it meant staying warm by the fire. But you don't live in that world anymore. Isolation isn't death, it's clarity. And the moment you understand this, you unlock a terrifying freedom. Think about the standards you hold. Maybe it's how you expect to be spoken to. Maybe it's the quality of people you allow into your inner circle. Maybe it's the work you're willing to put your name on. These standards aren't arbitrary. They're the architecture of your identity. When you lower them, you're not making a small compromise. You're dismantling the structure that holds you together. And piece by piece, you become unrecognizable, even to yourself. The psychologist Abraham Maslow studied self-actualization, the process of becoming the fullest version of yourself. And he found that people who achieved this state had one thing in common. They refused to betray their internal compass for external validation. They understood that acceptance from the wrong people is rejection of the right life. Here's the shift. Start viewing your standards as a filter, not a barrier. They're not keeping you from connection. They're protecting you from contamination. Every person who rejects you for holding firm is doing you a favor. They're revealing their incompatibility before you invest years discovering it. The right people will never ask you to shrink. They'll challenge you to expand. They'll respect your boundaries because they have their own. They'll see your standards and meet them, not because they're performing, but because alignment is effortless when values match. Belonging that requires you to betray yourself isn't belonging. It's captivity with better marketing. Rule number 3, never let loneliness push you back to what broke you. Loneliness is a philosopher. It arrives in the quiet hours, asking questions you've been avoiding. And when you're weak, when the silence becomes unbearable, it whispers a seductive lie. Maybe what broke you wasn't so bad. Maybe you overreacted. Maybe you should go back. This is the moment that defines you. The Greek myth of Orpheus tells of a man who journeyed to the underworld to retrieve his lost love. He was given one condition: don't look back. But doubt crept in, loneliness whispered, and he turned around, losing everything. Most people are Orpheus. They escape their hell, walk toward their future, but at the first ache of isolation, they glance backward, and everything they fought to leave behind reclaims them. Psychologically, this pattern is called trauma bonding, the paradoxical attachment to what harms you. Your brain doesn't distinguish between pain and passion. It only recognizes intensity. And when you're alone, the absence of intensity feels like death. So you return to the chaos because chaos feels like home. But here's what you need to understand. Loneliness is not a problem to solve. It's a passage to walk through. On the other side of that passage is a version of you that doesn't need anyone to feel whole. That person is who you're becoming. But you'll never meet them if you keep running back to what broke you. The Japanese have a concept called wabi-sabi, finding beauty in imperfection and impermanence. Your loneliness is impermanent. It's a season, not a sentence. And if you can sit with it, if you can resist the urge to fill the void with familiar poison, you'll discover something extraordinary. You're enough. The relationship that destroyed you is not a safety net. It's a trap with nostalgia as bait. And every time you return, you don't pick up where you left off. You start from a worse position because now you've taught them that your boundaries are negotiable. Stop romanticizing your pain. That person didn't love you. They loved having you available. That situation didn't challenge you to grow. It kept you small. You didn't leave because you were weak. You left because something inside you chose survival over comfort. Honor that choice. Sit in the loneliness. Let it reshape you. Because the person you'll become in solitude is worth more than any company that requires you to compromise your peace. Rule number 4. Never sacrifice your value for temporary comfort. Comfort is the enemy of transformation. It's the slow death that feels like living. You know this pattern intimately. You have a dream, a goal, a vision of who you could become. But between you and that vision is discomfort, uncertainty, risk. So you make a deal with yourself. Just for now, you'll choose the easier path. Just for now, you'll stay at the job that drains you. Just for now, you'll settle for less than what you're worth. But here's the trap. Temporary comfort has a way of becoming permanent. The ancient Roman Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Most people sacrifice their future to avoid a present discomfort that's entirely imagined. They stay in relationships that ended years ago because the fear of starting over feels worse than the reality of dying slowly together. They cling to mediocrity because the comfort of knowing what tomorrow looks like outweighs the terror of betting on themselves. Value is not negotiable. It's the sum total of your skills, your character, your boundaries, and your refusal to participate in your own diminishment. When you sacrifice this for comfort, for a few months of financial security, for a few weeks of avoiding conflict, for a few moments of feeling wanted, you're not being practical. You're trading your future for pennies. Psychologically, this is called present bias, the human tendency to prioritize immediate rewards over long-term gains. Your brain is wired to choose the certain reward now over the uncertain but larger reward later. This kept your ancestors alive when life was short and brutal. But you're not fighting for survival anymore. You're fighting for significance. And significance demands that you endure discomfort now for transformation later. Think about the last time you settled. Maybe you took less money than you deserved because you were afraid to negotiate. Maybe you tolerated disrespect because confrontation felt harder than submission. Maybe you stayed silent when you should have walked. What did that temporary comfort cost you? Your self-respect, your momentum, your belief that you deserve better. Here's the reframe. Discomfort is not your enemy. It's your instructor. Every time you lean into it, every time you choose your value over your comfort, you're building something comfort can never give you: character. The kind of character that doesn't need to check the mirror to know its worth. Stop asking, what's the easiest path? Start asking, what's the path that honors who I'm becoming? Because the version of you that's worth becoming doesn't exist in your comfort zone. That person lives on the other side of every hard decision you're avoiding. Rule number 5, never overextend yourself to be understood. You've tried this. You've explained yourself until your voice went hoarse. You've given context, background, justification, hoping that if you could just find the right words, they'd finally see you clearly. But they didn't, and they never will. Here's why. People only understand what they're capable of understanding. Their comprehension is limited by their experience, their emotional intelligence, and most importantly, their willingness to see you. The philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer observed that every person views the world through the lens of their own nature. A petty person sees pettiness everywhere. A cynical person interprets kindness as manipulation. You could give a master class in your intentions, and if they've decided who you are, your words are just noise. This is where most people destroy themselves, not through the actions they take, but through the energy they waste, trying to be understood by people who are determined to misunderstand them. Think about the psychological cost. Every over-explanation is a negotiation with someone who doesn't value your currency. Every attempt to justify yourself to someone who's already dismissed you is an admission that their opinion of you matters more than your opinion of yourself. The reality is brutal but liberating. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world. Your reasons, your motivations, your truth. These are not public property. They're sacred. And you diminish them every time you offer them to people who approach you with judgment instead of curiosity. There's a concept in Eastern philosophy called Wu Wei, effortless action, or the art of non-forcing. When you overextend yourself to be understood, you're forcing. You're trying to control how someone perceives you, which is as futile as trying to control the weather. The shift is this: let your actions speak. Let your consistency demonstrate your character. The people who matter will watch what you do over time and draw accurate conclusions. The people who don't matter will believe whatever narrative serves them, regardless of what you say. Your energy is finite. Every moment you spend defending yourself to people who aren't interested in understanding you is a moment stolen from people who already do. Stop trying to be understood by everyone. Start being unshakable in your understanding of yourself. When you know who you are, other people's confusion becomes irrelevant. Rule number 6, never let someone treat you twice like you're nothing. Once is information. Twice is a decision. The first time someone disrespects you, dismisses you, or treats you as if your presence is an inconvenience rather than a privilege, you might give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they were having a bad day. Maybe they didn't realize how their words landed. Maybe you're being too sensitive. But the second time is not a mistake. It's a message. And the message is clear. They don't value you. The psychologist Maya Angelou said something that should be etched into your consciousness. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. But most people don't. They give second chances, third chances, infinite chances, not out of compassion, but out of fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of being wrong about someone they've invested in. Fear of admitting they were disrespected. Here's what's actually happening. Every time you allow someone to mistreat you again, you're training them. You're teaching them that your boundaries are suggestions, not laws. You're proving that you'll tolerate disrespect if they just wait long enough for your memory to fade. This isn't about holding grudges. This is about pattern recognition. When someone treats you like you're nothing once, it's data. When they do it twice, it's their character. And character doesn't change because you wish it would. Think about the psychological concept of intermittent reinforcement. It's the most powerful tool for creating addiction. Casinos use it. Toxic people use it. They treat you well just often enough to keep you hoping, but poorly just frequently enough to keep you destabilized. And you stay, not because the relationship is good, but because your brain is hooked on the unpredictability. But here's your power. You control access to you. The second someone demonstrates that they don't value that access, you revoke it. Not with anger, not with long explanations, with disappearance. With the kind of silence that's so complete, they'll question whether you ever existed in their world at all. Stop being available to people who've shown you they don't cherish that availability. Your presence is not a consolation prize. It's the main event, and anyone who treats it otherwise doesn't deserve a second showing. Rule number 7, never lose sleep over opinions that don't pay your peace. Everyone has an opinion about your life, how you should live it, what you should prioritize, what you're doing wrong. And if you're not careful, you'll spend your entire existence trying to reconcile the contradictory judgments of people who aren't even living their own lives successfully. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most opinions are projections. When someone criticizes your choices, they're usually revealing their own fears, their own limitations, their own regrets. They're not seeing you, they're seeing themselves, and it terrifies them that you're brave enough to walk a path they abandoned. The Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journal, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He ruled an empire, faced constant criticism, and still understood that the only opinion that mattered was his own assessment of his character. Think about the opinions that haunt you. Are they coming from people whose lives you'd want to trade for? Are they coming from people who've accomplished what you're attempting? Or are they coming from spectators in the stands, shouting at players in the game? There's a psychological phenomenon called the spotlight effect, the tendency to overestimate how much others notice and care about our actions. Most people are so consumed with their own lives, their own insecurities, their own struggles, that your choices barely register. The judgment you're losing sleep over, they've already forgotten it. They've moved on to judging someone else. But even when the criticism is real, even when it's loud, here's what you need to internalize. Not all feedback is useful. Some of it is noise. And learning to distinguish between the two is the difference between growth and paralysis. Ask yourself, does this opinion contribute to my peace, or does it disturb it? Does it come from someone who's invested in my success, or someone who's threatened by it? Does it contain actionable truth, or is it just emotional debris from someone else's unresolved pain? Your peace is not a debate. It's not up for vote. It's not something you should sacrifice to satisfy people who won't be there when the weight of their judgment becomes too heavy to carry. Stop performing for an audience that won't remember your name. Stop adjusting your path based on the commentary of people who aren't walking it with you. Their opinions don't pay your bills. They don't fight your battles. They don't lie awake with your doubts or celebrate your private victories. Protect your peace like it's the most valuable thing you own, because it is. Rule number 8, never expect closure. Sometimes silence is power. You want answers. You want that conversation where everything finally makes sense. You want them to explain why they left, why they lied, why they chose someone else. You want closure. But here's what nobody tells you. Closure is a myth. It's a story we tell ourselves because the alternative, accepting that some things will never make sense, is too terrifying. The psychologist Pauline Boss coined the term ambiguous loss, grief without resolution. It's the relationship that ended without explanation, the friendship that faded without conflict, the opportunity that disappeared without reason. And it's one of the most difficult psychological states to navigate because your brain craves narrative completion. But seeking closure from someone who didn't value you enough to provide it voluntarily is a form of self-betrayal. You're going back to the person who created the wound and asking them to heal it. You're giving them power over your peace. Here's the reframe. Closure is something you give yourself. It's not a conversation. It's a decision. The decision to stop rewriting history. The decision to stop waiting for an explanation that will somehow make the pain worthwhile. The decision to accept that some chapters end mid-sentence. And that's not a failure. It's just reality. The ancient Buddhist concept of anicca, impermanence, teaches that everything is in constant flux. Nothing lasts, people change, situations evolve, and clinging to the need for perfect understanding is clinging to an illusion. There's profound power in silence. When you stop reaching out, stop asking why, stop giving them opportunities to revise their behavior, you make a statement. I don't need your participation in my healing. You reclaim your narrative. You become the author, not the character waiting for someone else to write your resolution. Think about what you're really asking for when you seek closure. You're asking them to care. You're asking them to validate your pain. You're asking them to prove that what you had mattered. But if they were capable of giving you that, they would have done it already. Some people exit your life without explanation because the explanation would require a level of self-awareness they don't possess. They don't know why they did what they did. They're operating from wounds and patterns they haven't examined, and no conversation with you will suddenly grant them insight they've spent years avoiding. Stop waiting for closure. Start creating conclusion. Move forward not because you understand everything, but because you understand enough. They're gone, and you're still here, and that's all the information you need. Rule number 9. Never let money make you forget your morals. Money is a revealer. It doesn't change who you are. It amplifies what was always there. You've watched it happen. The person who preached integrity suddenly cuts corners when the price is right. The friend who valued loyalty sells out the moment a better offer appears. The leader who spoke about values compromises every principle when the check gets large enough. And maybe you've felt the temptation yourself. That opportunity that requires you to bend your ethics just a little. That deal that demands you look the other way. That promotion that asks you to betray someone who trusted you. Here's what's happening. You're being tested. And the test isn't whether you can make money. Anyone can make money if they're willing to abandon their standards. The test is whether you can make money and still recognize yourself in the mirror. The philosopher Immanuel Kant introduced the concept of the categorical imperative. Act only according to principles you'd want to become universal law. If everyone did what you're considering, would the world be better or worse? If your child was watching, would you be proud or ashamed? Money has a seductive voice. It promises freedom, security, respect, and those aren't bad things. But when the cost of obtaining them is your character, you're not buying freedom, you're selling yourself. The psychological trap is called moral licensing, the tendency to do something unethical after doing something ethical, as if morality were a bank account where good deeds create credit for bad behavior. People tell themselves, I've been good enough in other areas, so this one compromise won't define me. But it does. Every choice is a vote for the person you're becoming, and the person who compromises their morals for money becomes someone who's always for sale. The only question is price. Here's the truth that will save you. There is no amount of money worth your peace of mind. There is no deal worth your self-respect. There is no opportunity worth the erosion of your character. Because once you cross certain lines, you don't get to uncross them. You just get to live with knowing you were willing to cross them. The world will offer you countless chances to be rich and wrong. It will dangle comfort, status, and luxury in front of you, and ask only that you forget who you are. And in those moments, you'll discover what you actually value. Make money, build wealth, create abundance. But do it in a way where your success doesn't require you to become someone you despise. Because poverty of character is the only poverty that's permanent. Rule number 10. Never prove loyalty to someone testing your limits. When someone tests your limits, they're not trying to understand you better. They're calculating how much they can get away with. This is one of the hardest truths to accept, because we've been conditioned to believe that love is sacrifice, that loyalty means endurance, that good people give endless chances. But there's a difference between commitment and captivity. A test is a boundary violation wrapped in curiosity. It's the partner who pushes to see if you'll tolerate disrespect, the friend who crosses lines to see if you'll say something, the employer who adds responsibilities to see how much you'll carry without complaint. And the moment you prove your loyalty to someone testing your limits, you don't strengthen the relationship. You establish a new baseline for what you'll accept. You teach them that your boundaries are negotiable, that your limits are suggestions, that your breaking point is just another destination to discover. The psychoanalyst Carl Jung explored the concept of the shadow, the parts of ourselves and others that we refuse to acknowledge. When someone tests you, they're showing you their shadow. They're revealing that they view the relationship as a game of power, not a partnership of respect. Here's what loyal people understand. Real loyalty is never demanded. It's earned through consistent demonstration of respect. When someone requires you to prove your loyalty by tolerating mistreatment, they've already shown they don't value it. The ancient art of war teaches that the best victory is the one that doesn't require fighting. The best relationships are the ones where boundaries are so clear and respect so mutual that testing becomes unnecessary. When someone starts testing, it means they don't see you as an equal. They see you as someone to manage and manipulate. Your response to being tested should be immediate withdrawal, not drama, not explanations. Just the quiet recognition that someone who tests your loyalty has already failed their own, and you don't prove anything to people who approach you as an experiment. Stop performing loyalty for people who question it. Stop proving yourself to those who should already know your worth. Your loyalty is not a circus act. It's a sacred commitment given only to those who've demonstrated they'll honor it. The person who tests your limits is showing you exactly who they are. Someone who values control over connection, power over partnership. Believe them, and leave them with their tests unanswered and their games unplayed. These 10 rules are not suggestions. They're not philosophy for discussion. They're survival instructions for maintaining your humanity in a world designed to compromise it. Every time you chase what's already shown it can live without you, you die a little. Every time you lower your standards for acceptance, you erase yourself a little more. Every time you return to what broke you, you abandon the person you could have become. But here's what changes everything. You already know these truths. You've always known them. They're not external rules. They're internal laws written in the same place that holds your deepest knowing. The only question is whether you'll honor them, whether you'll choose self-respect over comfort, boundaries over belonging, truth over temporary peace. Because in the end, the relationship you have with yourself is the only one that truly matters. Every other relationship is a reflection of that primary bond. And when you break these rules, you're not just disappointing others. You're betraying the person who has to live with your choices forever. Guard your peace. Honor your standards. Respect your limits. Because the world will take everything you allow it to take. And the only thing standing between you and self-betrayal is your decision to never break the rules that protect who you are.